So sometimes the ingredients for your project just don't exist in the market anymore. And luckily, Lord of Bass has this cone from Memphis that was used by NCA Labs when they were building for Memphis. And this is this was used on the Mojo and also on the LVS. So, and it has a kind of a big indent. And unfortunately, just again, sometimes things align, sometimes things don't. The indent is larger than the original Orion HCCA dust cap that was on these. These have the original paper cap, which has this logo on it. And luckily for me, Will Ashland, the chicken pimp here on YouTube, has a plotter and made some cut vinyl decals that look very, very similar to the original design. And so anyways, we did no inner cap, but we did do epoxy to this concave. This is a 200 millimeter concave poly cap that we have, and then we adhered it with the devil's jizz, and it turns out really nice. So, and then the original logo I think is a little bit larger than the original. Let me get the original dust cap for comparison. So I don't know which models these were from because it looks like Orion had either got these from RDM, which is Rapid Dye and Mold, or screen printed from Eminence. So I talked to Eminence, and even the lady that had been there for 30 years, she's like, I don't even remember that we did so many. All the brands look alike, And so, but yeah, this is a two color. It's red and white on a black background, and then it's just a concave paper cap. I actually wanted to reinforce it with some epoxy to make it a little bit stiffer, stronger, because it does have a little bit of flex, and put it on there, but it doesn't fit. So, and I was seeing if I had the appropriate Memphis one. I think Memphis originally used one that was fit in there, but I think it was the plastic ones that are dome, and then later kept the same cone and then used the same aramid fiber. It's like a Nomex looking material, but it took up the whole cone, which I don't have any on hand. You can get those from Lord of Bass as well. So, but as you can see, the logo is a little bit bigger than the original, but I think it still looks really good. And let me pop that on, and then you can see what it looks like. So again, shout out to Chicken Pimp. They're on here on YouTube, which is Will Ashland. And this part is a red background and then he overlaid a white decal on top of the red to get it to pop like that around the edges. Very nice work, and very excited. Very excited to have Jack Calley working with the Orion brand. He seems to be behind all kinds of just promotion for the brand and recognition for the brand again, about quality and about innovation and style, and also getting back into the feelings of nostalgia for a lot of guys like me that are in their late 40s and 50s, about making quality products made in the USA. So our plans are, of course, to import this motor, of course, blank, and then I'm hoping to work with Jack, or even just to have his blessing to offer the decal separate, so that you can, if you, because you got to remember, this original design was by Thilo Stampler of TC Sounds, and they made this same woofer for who was it? Memphis made their version, which was I think his name was Glenn, over there at NCA Labs, and then later Bob Speck was making these in China. Those are the ones that have the black steel, and those were, I think they changed a couple things on them. I can't remember the version, but the Soundstream Tarantula was the first one to use this motor. They used a copy of it, which I think was also sourced by Bob Speck from China. He also did a Luma Pro version, which after the auction, I was able to connect with Bob, and he sold me like a whole pallet of samples and returns and things like that, because they all use that motor. It was great. This is the TC9 Plus motor. It wasn't called the TC9 Plus, but when I was talking to Tilo on the buyout back in 2007, I thought the original motor was called the TC9, which it was. There was a couple of different versions that used dual 20 millimeter slugs. This version uses dual 25 millimeter, which is 1 inch, and is by far the most popular. And then in the later days of TC Sounds, they reintroduced it as a Rev 2 or TC9, and sold a bunch of units based on the motor. But I think this is definitely the more popular version, and we will import this model first before the smaller one. Mostly because people don't mind getting more, BL and just sort of excursion on their 12 or 10 on this bigger motor. So, and then the boots are non-branded, which came sourced from TC Sounds, and Tilo had them tooled up here in America, and I've followed the owners of the tool, I think over 3 vendors. So, and that's the same vendor that makes the, they have the tooling for the Lightning audio stuff as well, which again was sourced by TC Sounds for Tilo. So they also make a blank version of the 60 millimeter, which is the triple 20 millimeter slugs, which was used on the 3 HP. And then that one is also available in the Lightning audio version, which I think just has lightning bolts. So, but we're going to use the, I like the concept gasket, which didn't have any of the mount holes on top, and it has like a textured top. So what's funny though is when we got that buyout from Concept, a lot of the returns, people were driving the screws through the top of the gasket, because they didn't realize you have to just pull back the top to insert the screw, and then because there's no mounting holes on top, the cover comes back over and covers it, and it's meant to be more of a discrete. So I don't know if you remember the 2-piece gasket on like Alpine Type R, where they actually had a second piece that fit on top to cover the screw holes. Just some people, it's a more fit and finish sort of look that they prefer. So, but let's go ahead and do some woofer porn, get this packed, and send out to Birdie. Lastly, before we begin, to make a little quick note, this was also the same motor, which is dual 1-inch slugs, that was used on the TC 2000, and also the Revo, and also the LMS-R, if I believe correctly. I think the LMS-R, because it uses a thin top plate, about 12 millimeter, which is about almost half an inch. So you can use it with high excursion frames like the LA Storm frame or the TI frame. You just don't want to use any more than about a 50 millimeter wind height, which I can put some links to the coils that I recommend from Lord of Bass. And I'm trying to think, I think the original ones were made of copper, because I had ordered some TC9 coils from Precision Econowind, and after TC Sounds had filed for bankruptcy, the guys at Precision Econowind didn't have any problems allowing me to use the original part numbers, because I think TC Sounds owed them some money, so that kind of puts it in their control. And so when I ordered the TC9 coils, I mean, there was 45 millimeter wine height, all copper, performed like a champ. You can go a little bit taller, which is what Tilo did on what he called the TC11, which was a non-bumped backplate on the Sunfire woofer. So the Sunfire True Subwoofer for Bob Carver, they made a 10 and a 12-inch version, and the older versions used a single 20 millimeter along with a 25 millimeter slug. And I've also seen dual 20 millimeter slugs, but then in the later versions they used a quite tall, it was a bifiliar dual 8 ohm copper voice coil, and it actually stretched it out to about, I think, 55 millimeter, and it was a very soft suspension. But that was on the TC11, which uses dual 1-inch slugs. So, but it did not have the bumped back plate, which this one does, and it allows for a little bit more excursion. So I just wanted to give you that history on that. So, because again, I thought this motor is really fantastic. It's general purpose. It's very affordable, and it's a great performing. I'm going to do a couple of improvements on it, like putting the triple bolts in it to make sure that there's no gluing issues. Tilo at TC Sounds did use just a clear zinc finish, and I'm going to use a chrome finish just because the build house that I use, they just like the fit and finish of it, and I think it does kind of give it a little more prestige if it's polished and chromed out. So, but again, as we move on, I would love to do different versions, like maybe a red chrome finish, or even a black or something like that. So here we go. Here's some woofer porn for you guys.